What's going on, everybody? It's Stas here. Welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be breaking down the top stocks that I'm looking to buy heading into this week in the stock market, and I also want to do a quick technical analysis on the S&P 500 and the stock market futures, which at this point they're looking pretty decent. So if you guys find value, hit the like button for me, subscribe to the channel, and get yourself 4 free stocks from WeBull valued up to $1,600 using my link down below. All you have to do is deposit $100 and you literally get 4 free stocks. So let's get into it, guys. Last week we had a short week. Thursday was Thanksgiving. Friday the market was cut 3 hours short, and we did well regardless. S&P 500 actually came 1 point shy from all-time highs. We hit 36.44 on Friday, and if you guys remember, the all-time high is right around 36.45, right? We hit that a couple weeks ago in the beginning of November, and ever since the beginning of November, we've been up and down on the S&P, and this past week, we actually squeezed deeper into that resistance level at 36.45, and in my opinion, I think we're going to squeeze out of this level, and let me explain why. Take a look at the price action from last week, right? We hit 35.52. That was the low on Monday. We double topped at about 35.85, 35.90. We gapped out of that on Tuesday, massive rally, and ever since that massive rally, we've seen some nice consolidation between 36.25, 36.30, and about 36.45, right? Putting us in this 15 to 20 point window. And why I'm bullish on the market here is because take a look at how we closed on Friday, right? We hit 36.45. We got rejected at that resistance and we sold off, but we held a higher low here. We held the 180 SMA on the 5-day, 5-minute chart, and we held 36.25 at a higher low, and we closed on an upswing. That is very, very important. And for me, guys, I'm looking at the futures market today, tonight, and into the morning, and the large cap stocks here to see what they're doing, right? Is the futures market green? Are the large cap stocks going to be green? Because if we do see a gap up, we get out of 36.45, which again is that resistance that we're squeezing into. I think the S&P could see an explosion, right? Maybe not the 3,800, 3,900, but I think we could get to maybe 3,700, 3,750. I think that is where we could squeeze to, again, if we break out of this pivotal 36.45 level. So last week was a strong week for the bulls. Again, we broke 35.85, big resistance, 36.25, and now all we have to do again is break 36.45, and in my opinion, we're going to go higher, right? And how high can we go again? I'm not a genie. I'm not sure. There's some banks out there saying 3,800 S&P, 3,900 S&P by the end of the year, and that could happen, but I think a more realistic target could be, again, like I said, maybe 3,700 to about 3,750. So watch out for those levels this upcoming week on the S&P 500, and when it comes down to SPY, which is an ETF that tracks the S&P 500, watch out for 363 as support, right? That's where we closed above on Friday. And watch 366 as resistance. If we break that point, this could explode as well, right? Because again, it tracks the S&P 500 since it is an S&P 500 ETF. Bullish. That's the end of the story, pretty much. We're bullish at this point. And when it comes down to the futures, they were green a couple minutes ago, more like an hour ago, when the futures market opened at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard, and now they're slowly turning red, although the NASDAQ is green. So let's break that down right now. I mean, the E-mini S&P 500 futures, they were up about 11 points, 12 points when the futures market opened. Now they're dipping down in the red. They're down about 0.1%, down 4 points. The NASDAQ on the flip side, though, big tech here, is looking pretty good in terms of the futures. NASDAQ futures, they were up about 0.6, 0.7% about an hour ago. Now they're up only 0.3%. Nonetheless, they're still green. And the Dow Jones futures, they're down 0.2%. down about 65 points right now. And let me see, do I have the Russell futures up here? Or is this it right here, /TF? Anyway, guys, futures, they were green. Now they're turning red, other than the NASDAQ futures. So this is something to keep an eye out for tomorrow. And although we can't put all of our faith in the futures because they change overnight, we do have to look at them and we do have to analyze them, right? So keep an eye on them tomorrow. And again, remember what I said about the large caps. If they gap up, if they're green in the morning, we're likely to maybe even see an S&P 500 all-time high tomorrow. And again, look at 3645. I think if that level breaks, we'll squeeze out of there and maybe hit 3,700 at some point this week. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comments on all that stuff there. And let's talk about now the top stocks. I think we have 12 stocks to go over today that I'm looking to buy literally tomorrow or some point this week. Stock number one that I'm extremely interested in is Palantir, ticker symbol PLTR. This hit $33.50 on Friday. It collapsed all the way down to about $26, and we rallied to about $28 heading into the close, ended up going down about 5% on the day. And why is this? Well, number one, the stock got very overheated, no doubt about it. This stock has tripled ever since the beginning of this month. You guys can see here, $9 is where it was on the 30th to the 1st of November, and we literally hit $33 on Friday. So number one, the stock was a bit overheated, right? You really can't argue that. And number two, Citron came out and they said, quote unquote, on Twitter, what a run the past month for all. But as traders looking for short exposure, Palantir is no longer a stock, but a full-on casino. It does not take a ball of crystal to know this stock will fall back to ARDA, shorting it with a $20 2020 price target. So they came out. They said, okay, we're shorting the stock. It's overheated. It's like a casino. It doesn't match the fundamentals of the company. And that shocked investors, traders, and the stock dropped about what? 15-20% in one day from the top to the bottom. Yeah, about 22%, and it recovered into the close. And I'm actually interested in it because it recovered into the close, right? Take a look here on the hourly chart. We pulled down 20%, but we held a higher low here on the 50 SMA, which we've held in the past couple of weeks as a support every time we've pulled down. So I think, hey, this could be a dip buy, although Citron's coming out and saying they think it's going to $20 per share, right? Just because they came out and said that doesn't necessarily mean it's going down to 20. For all we know, the bottom could already be in. $26 could be the bottom, and we could see evidence of that already, again, because it's holding that 50 SMA at a higher low. So for tomorrow, if we see any sort of gap up on Palantir to $28, $28.50, $29, heck, if it breaks 30, that could be the confirmation that, okay, it's not going to 20. Maybe we're going back up to test the highs here, and it very well could be a dip buy. And remember, guys, this has a lot of momentum, and it's a lot, there's a lot of interest in it, so we could be going higher despite that short report that came out on Friday. So that is why it's the number one stock here that I'm looking to buy, that I'm very interested in. Again, that's Palantir, ticker symbol PLTR. I'm watching it anywhere from 28 to about $30 to $33 per share. And Amazon, this is another one that I'm very interested in buying a couple shares this week as we're getting deeper into the holiday season. Again, we had Thanksgiving. Again, happy Thanksgiving, everybody out there. But we're having Christmas coming up, right? The holiday season where people are buying a lot of gifts for other people. And the situation we're in right now with the CV, right? A lot of people aren't going out and doing traditional holiday shopping, right? They're not going to the malls. They're not going to the different department stores, whatever. So what are they going to do? They're going to go online. They're going to buy things from Amazon. And in my opinion, Amazon's due for a rally in the next coming weeks, right? It's been beaten down ever since the middle of October from 3,400. It dipped down a little bit under 3,000. Now we're flirting with about 3,200. And I think 3,250 to about 3,200 is breakout territory here on Amazon, right? We've seen it struggle there in the past couple of months. stemming from the middle of July. We saw it struggle there in September as well. And it seems like every time we've broken that 3,200, 3,250 level, we've seen a little rally up to 3,400, 3,500. So I'm not really opposed to it going back there again. In fact, I think it will go back there again, especially if we see that technical break above 3,250. I think momentum is going to pop it higher to 3,400, 3,500, and ultimately this gap right here is likely to fill. Look at my arrow here, guys, and that's about a 6%, 7% gap on Amazon. And Zoom has been crazy, guys. It went up 6% Friday. There's earnings coming out tomorrow after market. And this is one that I've been calling out for the past couple of trading days. Pretty much ever since it's been clobbered down from $600 to under $400, I've been looking at Zoom, right? Because I'm in the camp of, okay, we're seeing the CV spiking up. I don't really see the recovery stocks in the short term doing as great as a lot of people think, because the V-shot is not coming for another couple months. And until then, we're going to see more pain, right? More cases. And this is only good for the CV stocks, right? Not so good for the recovery stocks. So I ended up being right. I said that a couple weeks ago when Zoom was at 380, 400, and you guys know that if you've been following my videos. And now we're trading at 470. And quite honestly, I think we're going higher on Zoom. We broke 440 last week. We broke on Friday 460. We closed at 470. And now the next gap to fill is $500. And honestly, I don't think it's a stretch for us to get to 500 this week. Maybe not this week, although we are overbought, but with a good earnings report, we could get there. So it's kind of up in the air what's going to happen with Zoom. But me, if I were to bet on it, I think we're going higher in the short term, right? Again, due to the situation that we're in, schools are shutting down, universities are shutting down, businesses are still shut down. They're using Zoom. They're working from home. So yeah, I think Zoom in the short term is golden. Another one here is CRM, also known as good old Salesforce. They're reporting earnings on Tuesday, and this one's trading interestingly right now, right? We're getting rejected at lower highs, but we're also making higher lows, so we're sort of in this wedge, and we're holding support at 245, 250. And I think, technically speaking here, CRM could have potential maybe back up to 260 to 270, right? If this pattern plays out like it has before, right? Last time we tested this uptrend here at a higher low at 230, we filled the entire gap up to the resistance of the wedge, right? From 230 to 270. So I don't think it's that crazy to think that could happen again from 245 up to 270, 265. So I'm watching CRM in those levels. And if you guys remember last week, we got news. I don't know if it's 100% official yet. It might be when you're watching this video, but we got news that Salesforce, ticker symbol CRM, they're actually looking to buy out Work, which is known as Slack Technologies, which we'll go to that one now. Work is up, well, it went up a ton, right? It went up from $30 to $40. It was up like 35% in one day. So CRM and Work are two to watch for sure, especially if this deal of CRM buying Work ends up going through, right? And at this point, I honestly prefer CRM, technically speaking, right? Because Work has gone up so much. The RSI is pretty much off the page, guys. It's overbought. So I think CRM could be a better opportunity in the short term, again, from 245 to 270. But Work could also be an opportunity if we do get a bit of a pull down, maybe down to about $36, $37. That could be where we do pull down to. And if we do, that could be a dip buy. So watch out for CRM and Slack Technologies this week, maybe next week, whenever that deal, if that deal does end up going through. These two could be very, very good plays. And another one here, excuse me, guys, is Ulta, which Ulta is actually reporting earnings this week as well on Thursday. And technically speaking, guys, Ulta's been crushing it. We broke 245, big resistance from the past couple of weeks. We recently just broke 260, which was a resistance from the past couple of months, right? And at this point, it seems like the bulls are fully in charge. But what I'm seeing here is a bearish divergence. So be careful, right? RSI is making lower lows, lower highs as the price action itself is making higher highs and higher lows. That's signaling a bit of a weak move. We could see a pull down, maybe down to about 260, 265, and if we do have good earnings on top of that pull down to 260, 265, hey, maybe Ulta could end up being a dip buy. So I'm watching this one this week, and like I've been saying, earnings season is pretty much over, but we do have some good plays this week. Again, we have Ulta, we have Zoom, we have CRM, so these are a couple to keep an eye out on, although for the most part, big tech and a lot of the big names have already reported earnings. But again, watch Ulta from 260, 265. If it does get there, hey, that could be a dip buy. And another one here is Facebook. Good old ticker symbol FB. This is one that I'm actually in. I bought some here on Friday, and we're pent up at a big resistance, $280. We struggled there in the beginning of August. We struggled there in October, right? We broke out once in October heading into November, but ever since we dipped down earlier in November, we've been struggling and we've gotten rejected multiple times at 280. So I think if 280 can break, there's going to be an explosion on Facebook. I think we could end up getting back into the high 290s, 280s, even maybe even the 300s, right? So look, we see an ascending triangle forming here. We're making higher lows at the same time as we're getting rejected by 280, so we're squeezing into it, in other words, and I'm thinking a big pop is coming, right? So watch out for Facebook, 280, 285, 290, maybe 300. I think that's where we could be going here. And AMD is another one, Advanced Micro Devices, which is pent up at a pretty big resistance at about $87. Take a look here, 87.88. We struggled there back in the beginning of August, back in the beginning of October, right? We struggled there earlier in the month of November, and yet again now, right? Yet again now, guys, we're struggling at 87.88, and this is also looking like an ascending triangle, right? We're making higher lows into that resistance at 88. So ultimately, I think we could break out of 88, and if it does, guys, don't be surprised if AMD can squeeze up to 94 in the blink of an eye, right? Because that could trigger a lot of momentum, a lot of bullish price action, and it could get from 88 to 94 pretty quickly, right? So Advanced Micro Devices, if 88 breaks, and in fact, I'm going to set an alert. If 88 breaks, this thing could be a runner. So let me put an alert at 88.50 on Advanced Micro Devices is at or above. And the next one here is Fisker, guys, FSR, another electric vehicle play here. They actually got a buy rating from Citigroup and a $26 price target this past week. And when they did get that, this stock actually went from $16 all the way to about $23 in the span of a day or two. And now we're seeing a bit of a pull down. And I think a pull down here, whether it's to about $19, $18, maybe even where it is now, $20, this could be a dip in the short term because, again, $26 price target from Citigroup, that could very well happen in the next couple of weeks months here on Fisker. So I'm liking it. It's very bullish. And although, yeah, $20 where it is now could be a dip, I would like to see it closer to 18. And I think 18, I'd be buying it with both hands here, guys. I'd be throwing money at Fisker like crazy, just due to the bullish price action that I'm seeing here. And another one is good old NEO, guys. NEO is down about $4 or $5 from its peak here at $58.80. You might as well call it $59, guys. Down about $5 from there. And what we are seeing on the 4-hour chart is we pulled down, saw a bit of a correction, about 15%. But despite the pull down, we actually held a higher low on the 50 SMA here on the 4-hour chart, and we rallied off that level, right? 58 hit, we hit 48, trimmed about 15%. Now we're rallying. Bulls are buying. They're bidding up this price here. And for tomorrow, I'm interested in seeing, okay, are we going to take out that high from back on the 13th of the month? You guys can see we actually hit 54.37 on the 13th. We pulled down from there. So I think it's critical for the bulls to get out of 54 into 55. And if that happens, I think NEO could go higher and maybe take out the highs from last week, maybe $58, $59. A lot of you guys might think that's crazy, but NEO is that kind of stock, right? It gets hot quick, and it could see a 10% pop in a single single day. So watch 54, 55 bucks here on NEO. Virgin Galactic is another one that I'm interested in this week, guys. It hit 30 bucks last week. Now it's pulled down to about $27. It filled the gap to 30, pulled down to about 27. Now we're holding that high from back in July as a new support, right? So maybe we can rally off this $27 price point, right? And maybe we fill the gap from 27 to 30. That's kind of the play that I'm looking at here. That gives Virgin Galactic about 7% upside if it's able to hold 27 and if it's able to fill the gap to $30, right? And I'm thinking if 27 breaks completely, I'm probably going to scrap Virgin Galactic because it might go lower from there, maybe $24.60 to $25. That could be the gap to fill on the downside if 27 is going to break, if that happens, right? But again, if 27 holds, we get a gap up tomorrow from $27 to $30. I think that is in play. And the last one here that I'm looking at is good old Best Buy, ticker symbol BBY. And they actually reported earnings, I believe, last week. Was it last week? Yeah, it was last week. They reported earnings. Not so great of earnings. It disappointed some people, and the stock's reflecting that. It tanked that day from 124 down to about 113. We popped a bit after that, filled the gap to 120, but ultimately failed again and went down to about 110. And at this point, what we are seeing on Best Buy is, hey, we're holding 110, 112. That's been a level that we've held back in the end of October. In the middle of November, we rallied from 110 to about 124. Back in October, we rallied from 112 to 127. So I think if 112, 110 can hold, we might see a short-term rally on Best Buy, maybe up to about 118, 119, 120. But on the flip side, if 110 breaks and we get to the low hundreds, that's not going to be the story, right? We might be able to go lower from there, maybe down to, let's say, 104. That's where we were back in September. So be careful, right? If 112 holds, we might rally higher. But if it breaks, Best Buy could be a short opportunity, maybe a put option play down to the low hundreds. I think that's where it could end up going. So overall, guys, that's pretty much it, right? We talked about Palantir, Amazon, Zoom, CRM, Work, and Ulta, as well as Facebook, AMD, Fisker, NEO, Space, also known as Virgin Galactic, and Best Buy. And in terms of the futures at this point in time, they're still down, right? NASDAQ futures are up. Let me take a look at where they're up at. Still 0.3% up. S&P is down about 0.1%. And the NASDAQ, or rather the Dow futures, are down 0.2%. And again, don't take these 100% like it's going to do whatever the futures are saying, right? Don't just put all your faith in the futures because they can flip-flop overnight. We've seen this happen before, right? Just because they're down a little bit right now doesn't mean they're going to be down tomorrow. For all we know, they could gap up heavily tomorrow, and if so, S&P's probably going to hit an all-time high, and we might get that breakout into that 3,700 territory on the S&P. So that's it for this video, guys. If you all enjoyed it, hit the like button for me. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and check out all the free links down below, the Discord chat, the Facebook group, and don't forget to get your 4 free stocks from WeBull. That runs out here, I believe, at the end of November. Literally, you have 2 days to do it. So deposit $100, get 4 free stocks valued up to $1,600, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Thanks again for watching. Stay safe out there. Keep crushing the markets. Peace out.